It all started when my mom met my dad, and they fell in love, and they had me. I'm Nathan. In my life, it's kinda crazy. Okay, corny intro aside, here's the story of my life. In hospital in Hayward, California, on February 28, 2008, I was born to Joanna and Mark Fordelon after they immigrated to the US from the Philippines. I was not the first, however. I had an older brother, 3 years older, named Josh. We lived in Hayward for the beginning of my life, but I don't really have any memory of it. And we moved to Morago when I was around 2 years old. From ages 2 through 10 is where I found my core interests and hobbies. I painted and drew a lot. Granted, those drawings were pretty crude, but creating art has always brought me happiness. I love to explore the world, as I was always climbing the tallest trees, wading through creeks, or zooming through the rolling hills of Moraga on my bike. Around when I was 5 or 6, however, is when my relationship with my brother started to become shaky. He did things I don't think any brother should do to their younger sibling. I didn't think much of it, but now that I've grown up, this event is always lingering in the back of my mind. This is when I learned the value of trust and distrust. Anyway, for the majority of elementary school, I was an absolute rascal, constantly getting in trouble since kindergarten, receiving multiple detentions a week, and every single teacher, except for my 5th grade teacher, love you Miss Cav, crashed out at our class, saying we were the worst class they had ever seen in their, insert number here, years of teaching. My mom cried on her knees to me in 2nd grade, begging me to be normal. I was 7 years old. I didn't know what to say. This is when I learned about shame and doubt. I was raised to think I was different, and I was disciplined to understand that these differences are what make me worse than everyone else. My middle school experience was abruptly interrupted by the pandemic, but it didn't really affect me very much. I already had a group of friends who stayed closely connected through video games. However, I believe this is where my procrastination and sleeping issues arise. I would stay up all night doing nothing productive several times a week, and I would wait till 2 a.m. the night before deadlines to start assignments. These habits still cripple my life to this day. 8th grade was fun, however. I had a huge group of adventurous friends, and academic pressures didn't really exist in middle school. When I was younger, I tried a lot of different things. I tried jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, soccer, basketball, piano, art, frisbee, and some stuck, some didn't. These extracurriculars taught me the values of industry versus inferiority. I had made many friends through these activities, but I also made many rivals. Competition was fun to me, and I always liked to surround myself with people who pushed me to be better. The transition to high school did not treat me well. For each year in high school, I experienced at least one stage of Erickson's stages of psychosocial development. For freshman year, it was intimacy versus isolation. All of my friends, all of the people I loved more than family, all of these people I wanted to protect, and all these people who I grew up with, just suddenly abandoned me. I begged for an explanation, but I got no response. To try and rationalize this sudden change, I began to doubt everything about myself. What made me so unlikable? Was it my face, my acne, my laugh, my smile, my social skills, my height, my weight, my academic ability, my gender, my sense of humor, the way I look, my interests and hobbies? Freshman year, I absolutely hated myself to the point it became an obsession. Since we were fresh out of quarantine, I could easily hide my face behind a mask. I felt alone. I lost all value of life. I so desperately wanted to be loved. I created a list that I still add on to this day. And it's a list of things I want to do when I finally meet someone who makes me feel as if I'm not disposable. I wanted a girlfriend more than anything. My obsession with romance lasted throughout all of high school, but I've learned a lot since then. I've learned why obsession is not the same thing as love. I've learned what it feels like to be hurt and to hurt. Although I've never dated anyone, I still learn things about love and myself after every girl I talk to. I fell in love with a girl who saw my love as entertainment. A girl once fell in love with me and I did not reciprocate at all. I was in love with a girl who later learned that they did not want me in their life at all. A girl fell in love with my looks, but soon realized I was a total weirdo. I grew absolutely obsessed over a girl who did not view me the same way. The obsession consumed every corner of my being, and I became self-destructive. Do not obsess over people. That is not a way to love. At first, naturally, I was really hung up over the fact that everyone seems to be falling in love other than me, and that no one has ever had a crush on me. And, I'm still pretty disappointed that I'll never experience teenage love, but, maybe it's worth it. I'm still, of course, looking out for the girl of my dreams, but I'm no longer chasing it. I understand now that no one can make you feel loved if you don't love yourself. I'm proud to confidently say that at least I have yet to repeat the same mistakes I've made with previous girls. Every romantic situation has offered me something new, and I have gained a profound understanding of love, intimacy, human connection, and relationships. Moving on to sophomore year, I learned integrity and despair. I don't have a script for this part because I kind of just want to talk about it. February 20th in sophomore year, I wanted to go ride my bike, and I ventured really far into the hills. It was such a fun adventure, let me tell you. It was raining a little bit, the sun looked beautiful parting the clouds, and I had my headphones and I was just listening to music, and since it was the winter time, it got really cold, really dark, really fast, and unfortunately my bike chain broke, and I climbed to the top of a hill to see if there was any place to go, and there was nothing in every direction I could see. No house, no road. I had truly gone too far this time, and I didn't know if I was going to make it back. I quickly called a friend and asked them to call the cops. I gave them my location, and then my phone died. A storm rolled in, and all I could do was wait for hours. I was sitting there, completely alone with just my thoughts, completely disconnected from the outside world. It was dangerously cold that night. Oh my god, the cold. I could never forget it. The cold wasn't just around me, it was inside me. The cold was squeezing, sapping all of my energy. My attire was more akin to what one would wear to a spring farmer's market. My windbreaker wasn't made to retain heat. My cargo pants were heavy and damp, and my shirt annoyingly stuck to my torso. My teeth were chattering, and I hugged myself tightly. It was the only thing I could do. The warm grip of my armpits were the only thing keeping my fingertips from freezing off. The shivering wasn't a reaction anymore. It was a violent, full-body convulsion, like my body was trying to shake itself back to life, but it was failing. I imagine at that moment I would rather bleed to death. The inevitable flow of blood would cause me to grow dizzy and unconscious, all while the sharp pain would distract me from my deep regrets. Not only was I exhausted, not only was death a viable outcome, but I had the awful, awful privilege to sit there and think about dying. I don't wish that kind of mental anguish on anyone, let alone anyone my age. But hey, I made it out alive. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be laughing. As much as that experience was terrible, I still find value in it. Now, I view life so much more differently now. To me, death is the only thing that's permanent in this world. As long as you're alive, pretty much anything can happen. Since I am alive today because of chance and luck, it makes me feel like, I don't know, every experience I have, since that night, it feels so surreal. Every low I experience, I just think I would not be experiencing this right now if I was dead. But on the flip side, every experience that I don't know. Every happy experience, every happy memory I've had since then just makes me grateful to be alive. It makes me remember why, surviving our hardships are worth it. Alright, junior year, fun year. Junior year also helped me learn about integrity and despair. Since freshman year, I had this close friend. Her name was Anna, and she was like the closest thing I had to a sibling dynamic with someone. Now don't get me wrong, I look up to every single one of my friends like their family, like brother, like sister, but Anna, she was different. She was the only one who actually reciprocated that kind of relationship with me. She would say I was like a brother to her, and we did sibling things together. We had sleepovers, we hung out, and we'd often get into fights, arguing who was the older sibling between us. To me, just being around her felt fun. It felt safe. It was everything I could ever ask for in a sister. And earlier this year, in February, she just decided life wasn't worth living anymore, and now she's gone. Man, I miss my sister. I bring this up because this whole ordeal really shaped who I am and who I want to become. I want to be the light in the world that she needed. I feel as if the only way I can honor her now is becoming a better person because of her. She's gone. It's a hard pill to swallow, but there's nothing I can do for her anymore. I made the choices I did. And, can't rewind time, just gotta live with what happened. So, yeah. Sorry, I could say a lot more, but I think I'm just gonna move on. Alright, here we are, senior year, the present. This is around the time I started questioning things about my identity. This feeling has been crippling me since before 5th grade, and I finally allowed myself to experiment with my identity. I pierced my own ears, I started wearing jewelry, and I don't know if I want to admit this here. Anyway, I secretly wore feminine clothes locked away in my bathroom. Also recently, I've been experimenting with makeup. I even used Halloween as an excuse to dress femininely out in public to see how I felt, but no one needs to know that. And finally, the last Erikson stage that I learned is generativity versus stagnation. Also, I know you're supposed to go through these stages throughout your entire life, but I genuinely feel as if I've gone through all of these already, just in high school alone. I have an after-school job at one of the elementary schools in the town, and I look over many elementary school students there. And looking over elementary school students has healed something in me. There are so many people I admire and look up to, and I've always wanted to be that kind of figure for others. Now that I'm no longer a kid, I realize how abysmal my older brother was at fulfilling his role as an older sibling. He was never a safe place for me. He was never my friend. He did things a brother never should. When I'm around younger kids, I just hope I can be the place of refuge for them that I never had. Yeah, some of the kids annoy the hell out of me, but I understand they're just kids. Yeah, I do hold them accountable for their actions, but I never want them to feel ashamed of making a mistake. I want these kids to feel safe around me and also feel heard by me. I want to teach these kids that kindness is what gets you through this world. One of my biggest dreams in life is to become a source of inspiration for other people. Yeah, my life hasn't been the easiest recently, but if what I went through means I can help other people that are going through something similar, then that just makes it all worth it to me. And now, it's time to get hypothetical and start thinking about my future. From ages 20 to 30, first, I hope to graduate high school, and hopefully make it into a nice art school where I can major in animation. Hopefully, I'll meet and date my first girlfriend, And maybe I'll direct my first short film. I've always wanted to direct a short film because I've always wanted to get my stories out there. And hopefully I can teach my audiences the lessons I've learned throughout my experiences. From ages 30 to 40, I'll maybe get married. I'd want to discuss with my partner whether or not we'd want to have kids. And hopefully I'll be gaining some notoriety in the animation industry. I hope to direct my first feature-length film, ages 40 to 50. And hopefully by 50 through 60, I will have retired early and I'll live in a rural, quiet place with my family where I can create art freely, and maybe I'll travel the world. Ages 60 through 70, maybe I'll have grandkids who I can impart my wisdom onto. And 70 through 80, the way I'd want to die is, ideally, if the technology is available, I'd want to die by jumping into a black hole just to see what's inside. I'd want to leave a legacy of animated movies that inspire the next generation, and I'd like to pass on the knowledge I've gained from being alive for 80 years. I want my artworks and contributions to teach people to keep their chin up, even when odds seem impossible. I want my art to teach people what it means to live, what it means to laugh, to love, to forgive, and to cry. I want to teach people that to get back up is more important than not falling down in the first place. I hope people can look at my work and see the person behind it. I want people to know me, and I hope to be remembered as someone who's kind. I'd want the stories I create to inspire other people and give them a sense of hope and belonging. Like many of the stories that lifted me up when I had no one else that would. Thinking about the future is scary because it is unknown. I have no idea what's to come next. But I know as long as I keep my smile and my joy for creating art, things will be okay. My name is Nathan, and thank you for listening to my story.